Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel where we talk about interior design tips and inspiration. Today we're going to be continuing the design style series and we're going to be talking all about the eclectic design style. If you are new to this series, then we go over the background information, key elements, ways that you can incorporate this style into your home, and similar styles in case you're interested in this but aren't completely in love with it. So let's go ahead and jump into the background of eclectic design. To start off, eclectic design is often very misunderstood. People think that you can kind of just throw anything at eclectic design and that it comes together, but it really can be a Mod Podge if it's not intentional and if you're not approaching it in a way where it's going to be cohesive. So how this style came to be is in the 19th, 20th century, a lot of architects were kind of bored with a lot of this style and they wanted to stray away and create something new, something that they could put their own mark on and claim as their own. So they didn't want to adhere to a particular style, they just started from scratch. And then eventually it morphed more into a decor style than an architectural style, and that's how eclectic design is now being used today. The great thing about eclectic design is that you get to be creative, you get to try something new, you get to be funky. And there's going to be some nuance to eclectic design that you're not necessarily going to see in other design styles. So this is really about a lot of visual interest, about high energy, about personality. There's a lot of colors, there's a lot of mixing and matching, and it's very bold, but you also have a lot of freedom. There's not a lot of requirements that you have with eclectic design. You really get to narrow in on what you like and add your own personality into this. So there's going to be a lot of variety in eclectic design, which can make it really unpredictable and hard to guide you how to get the eclectic design style. It has kind of a global feel to it, and you can take from as many different styles or time periods as you would like and bring those together and marry them. As I was saying earlier, this can easily be misinterpreted into anything goes. Throw whatever you want at your room or your home and it will all mismatch together and we'll just use the catch-all of eclectic. It's not quite that simple, unfortunately. Just because you don't have a lot of strict requirements or guidelines doesn't necessarily make it eclectic design. In all reality, eclectic design does need to be thought out, and arguably more than other design styles, because you don't have a certain direction that you're going in. You get to make it up as you go, but that means that it's really hard to make these spaces feel cohesive sometimes because you don't get to just open up a magazine and pull ideas from it. The whole idea is that this design style is supposed to feel layered and collected, not busy and cluttered. And I thought it'd be fun to include the definition of eclectic on here so you can kind of understand where you can pull things from. The definition of eclectic is deriving ideas, style, or taste from a broad and diverse range of sources. When we move into these key elements, there's not going to be a lot of specific things that I can give you because you can pull from a bunch of different styles, but I will do my best to kind of guide you into some elements that you can use to identify and create this look. Architectural details is one thing that it's kind of hard to tell you. If you walk into a house that has this type of ceiling or window, then it's going to be eclectic. There's not a whole lot of that with eclectic design, but something that you will see a lot is a lot of layers and a lot of texture. So if you see a lot of different materials, and you'll kind of see some high contrast things. So those might be good elements to bring into architectural details. As for furniture, the main thing that I want to hit home here is that these are going to have personality. Not every single piece needs to have this funky bold pattern or color to it, but there is usually one piece in each room that is kind of the standout piece that is the center of attention. So that might be a really interesting funky sofa, that could be a coffee table that has a lot of different shape to it, something like that. So you're going to have a focal point of furniture somewhere typically. And then the rest of the furniture arrangement should definitely complement the signature piece, but not compete with it. For the color palette, there isn't necessarily go-to colors here, but Overall, there's a lot of bold, saturated colors. You can almost count on there being some sort of eye-catching color somewhere. You're not going to have complete neutral palettes. Although you will want a consistent color palette like we've talked about in the past, there isn't necessarily a go-to color or color group that you should be considering. Really just find something that's kind of more bold that you can create your color palette around, and that will be a good indicator of where to guide your color palette for the eclectic design. Again, eclectic design doesn't really have a signature window treatment style, but you can definitely mix and match and pull from the other design styles that you may be incorporating into your eclectic design. And if you're really struggling with window treatments, if you feel like you're lacking the texture in your design, then definitely go with something that's like really heavy in texture like velvet. Or if you feel like you have plenty of pattern and other things going on and you just kind of want to quiet down your window treatments because you feel like you kind of need a steady foundation, then go with something really simple, lightweight, and it's just kind of a neutral color to have a nice backdrop. For accessories, there's a lot of global influence in eclectic design. So if you have things that you've collected throughout your travels, if you have collectibles, if you have vintage items, then these are all really easily incorporated into eclectic design, and you totally have hit the jackpot if you've included any of these things into your design. Typically, you're going to see unexpected things in eclectic design. You might see a really funky, weird sculptural piece that you got while you were abroad, and that is something with a lot of personality that you will find a lot of in eclectic design. Another thing that I see quite often in eclectic design styles is gallery walls, but it's not going to be a super streamlined gallery wall where there's matching black frames with black and white pictures in it and a white mat. This is going to feel a lot more collected. So there's going to be a bunch of different frames, a bunch of different styles of frames, of finishes, different kinds of artwork. There might be something that's not even necessarily artwork that is incorporated into the gallery wall, like maybe a record is hanging or a hat. I don't want to use the word random, but it's going to feel very mixed, and it's going to feel not as streamlined and as polished as some other styles might. Now moving into how you can get this look. So the first thing I want to suggest is to play with pattern. Typically in an eclectic design style, you're going to see pattern somewhere, and more often than not, you're going to see a few different kinds of pattern. And this is where a lot of the texture comes into play for eclectic design. If pattern scares you a little bit, this could be something as small as just making sure that you have different patterns in your pillows on your sofa. But you can also do something on a larger scale, like your rugs, your pillows, your artwork. Having a lot of pattern, as long as it's in that distinct color palette that you've chosen, it can work really well together. You can easily mix patterns that don't go well together, but this is something that is very signature to eclectic design style and is going to give it kind of that traveled feel. My next tip is to do something quirky. I think that eclectic design is very fun compared to a lot of other design styles, and this is where you can really showcase personality and your character. So if you have a love for a certain animal, let's say you really like the rooster for some reason, adding something that really nods to the rooster, whether it's a rooster itself or something that correlates, then it's going to be something that catches people's eye and is going to be a talking point, which is definitely the goal of eclectic design, is to have talking points and to kind of make people not necessarily feel uncomfortable, but to kind of wake them up in a sense. And it's not something that's just easily passed over. And my third thing to think about when you are going for the eclectic design style is to be patient, but to also have a lot of fun doing this, because this isn't the type of style that you walk into Target and there's going to be a bajillion things that go with your home and you can just go on a shopping spree. The style has a more collected feel to it, so it's going to take a lot of time to really curate something that you feel good about, but it's also a lot of fun because it's almost like a treasure hunt. If you're used to going thrift shopping and vintage shopping, then this is probably something that you could really be interested in because you like looking for deals, you like looking for those special pieces that have a lot of sentimental value or that really speak to you. So you're gonna have to be a little bit patient here, but it's also a lot of fun and very reflective of you, which is why I love this style so much personally. Now moving on to similar styles, the first thing I want to suggest is the boho style. This is the video that we'll be coming out with next week, so stay tuned for that. But I look at boho as kind of like the little sister to eclectic design. It's a little bit more organic and it has kind of a plant influence, but I definitely feel like there's a lot of overlap between these two, and you can learn more about it in next week's video. And the other design style that I thought would be worth mentioning is transitional. So this is going to have a lot of those fun personality flares, but a little bit more of a neutral color palette to it for the most part, and it's going to be a little bit more digestible than some eclectic styles can be. And if this video has been intimidating to you at all or daunting, but you really are interested in the eclectic design style, I'd also suggest looking at the video where I talk about mixing interior design styles, because since eclectic design isn't necessarily a lot of formal rules and you have a lot of freedom, then I think the video where I talk about mixing design styles could really be beneficial for you, because it really talks about how you can mesh things together nicely while still giving it that polished and designer feel. And that can be a great guide for you. Thank you so much for watching this week's video. I hope that you were able to learn something new or get some inspiration. I also hope that you'll be joining us next week when we talk about boho interiors. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.